Hi, how you doing? Well, where were you when you heard the news that Blackpool's new chief head coach was Steve Bruce? Where were you? Tell me in the comments below. Also, for all those divvies that mess about on my phone, no sim in it, so you can forget that, pal. All right, 23 of you in already. So just before I start reading through the comments, I just want to, give you my quick thoughts and some questions that I have for you. The first thing for me is obviously, I know that probably every Blackpool fan at the moment is still suffering with PTSD from Mick McCarthy and TC, who came along and completely ruined our club. And we all know that Simon Sadler keeps repeating the same sort of mistakes over and over again. And I hope this is not going to be another one of those times. And we'll discuss that as well, whether, Steve Bruce is anything like Mick McCarthy. Boring. So I don't think he is. So obviously, Simon Sadler has gone with a sort of a way of appointing managers. They've either been former managers, they've been a manager with us before. He knows them, he brings them back, or he's brought an old dinosaur back in Mick McCarthy, and nothing has really been has worked all that well. Apart from Critch the first time. But I feel it's a little bit different. I think Steve Bruce is an experienced manager, and I think he's probably, and I'm asking the question, is he the biggest manager, biggest named manager that Blackpool have ever had in their history? Would you say Steve Bruce? I mean, Holloway was big, but he wasn't as big as Steve Bruce, and Mick McCarthy was a successful manager, but he didn't have as many years managing massive clubs as Steve Bruce has. What I don't like about Steve Bruce is that generally when he's done really well somewhere, he goes. If an offer comes in for a better deal somewhere else, he's off. We know that. He's done it so many times. He's not very loyal to you, is he? So if he does have success, will he stay with us? I hope he does. He's had a couple of years out. Now, that's the thing I was going to mention as well. He's had a couple of years out, self-enforced, so he says. And that kind of reminds me a little bit of Holloway, who'd also had time out of the game and been following, watching what Barcelona and other teams were doing over there, and coming back with this idea that he had, which actually took us into the Premier League. So maybe Steve Bruce has had time to think about what he's done in his career and the mistakes he's made by maybe accepting the first offer that came along to go and work somewhere else when he was really successful. I also think, listening to the interview, and I will screen share this in a minute for you, for those of you that aren't on Twitter, so you can see what he said on Twitter, on the Blackpool FC Twitter account. But he has said that well, we all know that Keogh and Dobbie have now gone into the first team backroom staff, and I get the feeling he's coming as a sort of a mentor for Dobbie and Keogh, and I'm hoping that Keogh and Dobbie know what Blackpool's all about, and they can, show him what the kind of football that we're wanting, and maybe with his experience and the way we are playing, and with their knowledge of our players, that he will be able to mold us into a team that can do that attacking stuff, doesn't do the silly passing around at the back stuff, which we saw again last night. I went to the Bristol Street Motors trophy, and we played very well. We played absolutely well. I really like the signs of this new keeper. Really look great, but we did at times get caught out by crew at the back, and there was a few scary moments. And of course we did the silly passing around the back. This young keeper, I felt so sorry for him. He did the absolute, he flubbed a 5-yard pass straight to someone on the edge of the box, didn't he? And that's what I'd like to see ironed out, and I'd like to see us so easy to sort of break against when we're on the attack. So it's that anyway. So for me, I'm one of these fans that will always be behind the manager, and I'm happy he's here, and I'm not going to start, saying I don't, fancy Steve Bruce being manager. I'm enthusiastic about it because that's what I am. I'm a fan. I support him, but if it's crap, I'll tell him it's crap. Right, let's get to the comments quickly before I show you the video for Steve Bruce. Right, so Steve Roberts, first in, says, afternoon Lee, this is what no one expected. It's either a stroke of pure genius by Simon Sadler or the biggest cock-up in football. Well, let's hope it is genius by Simon Sadler for the reasons I've said. And you're glad Keogh and Dobbie promoted to coach. I think it might just work. So do I. Pathfinder, hello Pathfinder. He says Simon Sadler said he wanted Steve Bruce's experience to teach the younger coaches the ropes. Well, that's exactly it. I think that's the reason why he's been brought in. In that respect, it could be a good appointment. Yeah, I agree with you, it could. But as always, it is results on the pitch that matters. Yes, and I know, you know, you've already mentioned that Critchard, one of the most successful, he's one of the most successful managers in Blackpool history. His win rate was fantastic. And I think a lot of that, those stats are based on the first time he was here. He was absolutely bloody amazing the first time he was here. But if he did his stats just on last season, he wouldn't be one of the most successful managers in Blackpool history at all. He just wouldn't be. Eugene McGee says, good afternoon, Lee, and how are you doing? I'm doing okay. I enjoyed last night. If you haven't seen the video yet that I did last night, which was the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, it was £10 to get in, which is a bargain. It was a lovely night, and I like to go and watch live football when the weather's nice. And the weather was lovely. It was just mild. There was no wind. There was nothing. I missed the first goal, of course, because I've been faffing around doing something here, and I'd lost track of time, and I didn't get there in time. I just missed the first goal. But apart from that, it's a great video. If you haven't checked it out, please do. Those views on my videos, likes on my videos, that all helps. Everything helps. The YouTube algorithm, as I tried to explain on A View from the Tower the other day, and I went to great lengths trying to explain it all, but obviously people just dive on everything you say, and it's just honestly, it's like the Wild West on there. You try and have a bit of fun and a bit of lightheartedness on there, and it's not possible. Right, John A says his desire to build a hard-working, entertaining side is a large part of what attracted us to him. You could not make this up. Not happy is John A. He's not happy. Well, don't be not happy before we've seen anything. I mean, I know exactly what you're saying. I was feeling the same. I think everybody was feeling the same. And we've had two things, haven't we? We've had Keogh and Dobbie in charge, and everybody was like, he's brilliant. He's turned it all around. He nearly saved us, didn't he? He was that good. He nearly saved us. If he'd have probably had two more matches, we'd have stayed up because we played brilliant under Keogh and Dobbie. And everyone was like, make Dobbie the manager, and they didn't. And they brought Critch back, which went down like kind of a lead balloon with thousands of fans. And that's the problem. You don't want a manager that's, you know, that is going to go down like a lead balloon. And if we hadn't have had Mick McCarthy and his brand of football and the fact that he was a bit of a dinosaur, if we hadn't have experienced that, then I think most Blackpool fans at this moment in time will be thinking, Steve Bruce working with Keogh, working with Dobbie, bringing in, I can't remember, at least he's not bringing in TC, which he's not bringing him in. But if we'd all be pretty positive, I think. And I don't think he would. He's not going to divide the fans. He's never been here before. We've never really played many Steve Bruce sides. I'll tell you what he will stop. I'll tell you what he will stop right now, Steve Bruce coming in. He'll stop condescending Sky on all these on their live, because I've watched a couple of his games. The Blackburn Rovers game, they were just all about Blackburn Rovers. I was watching, you know, oh, can they get, you know, can Blackburn Rovers get the elusive second goal and all this sort of stuff, and just Blackburn, blah, blah, bloody Rovers all the time, you know, and they're always talking about, you know, where they signed him from, and and just Blackpool were just, we're just an irritant, basically. But now we've got Steve Bruce in, it will change Sky's attitude towards us as a club, and we won't be seen as little Blackpool. We'll be seen as something a lot better, and there will be a media circus that comes with Steve Bruce because he's been out of the game for a couple of years. So there'll be that media circus which he can deal with, and the club are going to have to deal with, and I think it will just lift our profile and make us one of the bigger fishes. Because who else? I mean, he's never managed in League One before, has he? He's never been a manager in League One. Which again, that's another point I was going to make about him. He's never managed in League One. And before they appointed him, I kind of wanted a manager, and I don't know if you did, but I was really hoping they were going to employ somebody who had gotten quite, you know, who had been successful getting quite a few clubs promoted out of League One and knows how League One works and could get us out, because I like that experience when they've got, you know, a manager's had a few promotions with a few teams, and he just knows how to get out of League One. and I was kind of hoping for that as well. And Steve Bruce, he hasn't managed in League One, so it'll be a baptism of fire. But that's the other thing. Anyway, Ian's on. He says, I've always liked Steve Bruce. Yeah, me too. Honestly, I've liked Steve Bruce, apart from the fact that, like Critch, he leaves at the first offer. And if he's successful in League One, he'll be ambitious, Steve Bruce, to get back into the Championship, to get back into the Premier League. I would imagine that'll be his ambitions if he's coming back. That's his life, isn't he? He's not a League One manager. He's an up there manager. So if he's doing really well with Blackpool, he's got to top of the league, will somebody come and poach him? Say, oh, God, Steve Bruce is back. Look how well he's doing at Blackpool. Bloody hell, he's taken them from bottom of the league and they're now sitting proudly at the top. Let's offer him £20 million a year to manage someone. You understand what I'm saying? That's the only thing that worries me about him. Ian Bevington says, yes, it's a good appointment. Keith Donaldson says, hi, Lee, a good appointment. Steve Bruce has a lot of experience. We all need to get behind the manager. We do. We absolutely do. If we don't, we're just back to square one, because I say it so many times, if Blackpool fans are being entertained, primarily being entertained, and they're enjoying the football, and they're all together behind the manager, and they're making lots of noise, we can take Blackpool Football Club wherever we want to take them, really. But we've been so divided over these past few years over everything, and so upset over everything, and so I'm never coming back, blah blah blah, if this, and I'm never coming in. He's got a tattoo on his leg, all this shit that comes in with a new manager. We want to start this without that, and I'm sure that's been on the mind of Simon Sadler, thinking, well, there can be nobody saying to me that this guy managed, he's from Preston, or this guy, he's Man United. We all know what he is. We all know who Steve Bruce is. He was a great player, and he has been a great manager. You can't honestly say, apart from our Mick McCarthy experience, you can't say that you wouldn't. You're like, it's like unbelievable that we've got Steve Bruce. I mean, it's literally unbelievable. Yeah, but again, you see, the dinosaur is back. He's 60. He's 63, and he's bloody successful as a manager. He has been a very successful manager. And if he has been away for a couple of years, like Ian Holloway, and he's reflected, and he's watched football everywhere, and he's got a philosophy, and he wants to put it, to the test. Let's see. I can't stop writing him off. And please don't, if you're a Blackpool fan, please do not write him off before he even starts, and starts, get behind him. We're brilliant when we get behind a manager. We got behind Ian Holloway, and people would have said, he was a very odd decision. He'd only just come back into football, and he was a bit crackers, wasn't he? Anyway, but he did really good. WG fan says, you're not sure about it. Well, nobody is sure about it, but let's just go with it, and let's get behind it. And maybe if we get behind a manager for a change, instead of not being behind a manager from the get-go, then we might create the success ourselves. And like I said, I think he's more a kind of I feel he's more maybe they could have made him director of football. They make someone like a director of football, and he could have been. But I think he's in that kind of role. I think he's here to improve Keogh and Dobbie, and getting Keogh and Dobbie onto the first team coaching. It's got to be good. We've liked Dobbie, and we've liked Keogh, and we like the way they play, and they both think the same thing. The only thing with Keogh, it's been exciting, it's been brilliant, but we are dodgy at the back. And that playing the three at the back scares the living bejeebers out of me. We've had bad luck again, with the centre half. It's always the same with us. We get that bag in, and he looks, he's 6 foot odd, and his ball distribution is amazing. He looks fantastic, and he gets his blooming ligaments done straight away. It's just our bloody luck, isn't it? Rob C says, hi, mate. It is certainly a big name for League One. Sceptical about it, but to be honest, can it get much worse than the start under Critch? It isn't a high bar he has to raise. Well, if Steve Bruce, honestly, he's experienced enough. We all know he's experienced enough. And we all know he's going to get feedback from Keogh and Dobbie. And Dobbie and Keogh know what Blackpool Football Club are about. Whereas Mick McCarthy just didn't understand Blackpool Football Club. He tried to, tried to make us something, a land of giants team, and we weren't. And of course, Mick McCarthy had a bit of bad luck because, he signed that big centre half and he got injured. You know what I mean? Mick McCarthy needed big, tall players. Steve Bruce is a very clever manager. He's the best man. We've never had anybody as big as Steve Bruce, have we? Ever? Steve McMahon. Yeah, he was only really cutting his teeth as a manager, wasn't he? We had Sam Allardyce. Yeah, okay, he went on to manage England, but when we had him, he was a nobody. Was he really? We all love Billy Eyre, but who was he in the scheme of football? Who knew about Billy Eyre other than probably Blackpool fans? You know what I mean? It was great. Holloway, became a legend because of what he did here. Not previously, really. Blackpool made him, and if we can, get behind Steve Bruce, I think it could be really good. But I think we're the factor. We factor in. True Red says, good afternoon. Hello, True Red. Phil Taylor. Is that the real Phil Taylor? Darts. Give him a go, I reckon. Deserves a chance. He's managed at the highest level for a lot of times. Yeah, and he's played at the highest level. I mean, I can remember, I don't know if you remember, but when we played Manchester United in the Premier League at home, and that night, Fergie was on the touchline, wasn't he? And you could tell I could tell from the south stand. Well, I could see him from the south stand, and he looked terrifying from the south stand. I don't know why. He just had a terror. I thought, oh my God. And you could see that the officials were quite terrified of Fergie. And I imagine, Fergie got a lot of respect. And I also imagine that Steve Bruce will get a lot more respect out of officials than, and the fourth officials and everything else, because he's Steve Bruce. You know what I mean? If Steve Bruce says it, really, and not as, probably not as scary as Fergie, but he's from, and he was rocker. He was a hard defender. You've got to say he was, right. Steve Huntley says that came from left field. Yes, it did. You didn't see that. Well, I don't think anybody did. I mean, I was coming out of the game last night, and I did not see it. No idea. I had no idea when I was coming out that it was Steve Bruce. Graham Dawson said, yes, I think we were playing well. I would have waited. I hope I'm wrong. I agree. We're definitely playing better than we were under Critch, and the players look happier than they did under Critch, but we're still not winning. It's been great and entertaining and much better football, but I've come out so frustrated. From that game, that we played against Wickham, I enjoyed the football, but I was frustrated with the way we didn't win that game, and we could have won that game. And I kept thinking, would an experienced coach working with Keogh have got us to win that game? And that's what I was thinking. And also, when we watched on Sky, the being 4-1 up and losing it, that just showed the inexperience. I can't imagine for 1 minute, if we'd have had Steve Bruce as manager at that time, we'd have been 4-1 up, that we would have drawn that 4-4. There's no way an experienced manager would have just killed that game. It just killed it dead. They'd have never come back. You'd have done, I don't know. They're just experienced. I don't know how they would do it. Anyway, it'd be interesting when my next guest, what they think of it, won't it? Ian Bebbington. Whoops. Let's go back to the comments. Sorry, I just knocked that off. Where was I? Ian Bebbington. That's way back. Wow, there's not a lot of comments. Right, I will get to your comments as quick as I can. Right, Ian Bebbington says, was pouring a whiskey in the kitchen when I got a phone call off a friend. All right, answering the question that I said at the start of the stream, where were you when you heard the news? So Ian Bebbington, well, I always remember when Steve Bruce was announced as Blackpool manager, he was pouring whiskey in the kitchen when he got a phone call off a friend. Rob C says, it seems to me Bruce has been brought in to coach the coaches. I do think so, yeah. Or work with them and mentor them, and, and obviously listen to them, and maybe, learn the DNA of Blackpool Football Club and what the fans want a lot quicker than Mick McCarthy did, which he didn't, did he? And of course, yeah, so he's going to coach them into managers, and then when he moves on, as he always does, if he's successful, he does. It's a thing. It's a Steve Bruce thing. Hello, Gary. How are you? Steve Huntley says, let's hope he doesn't do the crap tippy-tappy football again. Did Steve Bruce ever do crap tippy-tappy football? Is that Steve Bruce's, you know, I haven't really, you know, as I say, I just kind of watched Blackpool Football Club all my life. You know, haven't really followed Steve Bruce's career other than seeing the headlines of him, you know, leaving clubs when he was doing really, really well. And then it quite often backfiring on him as well. It didn't always work out, did it? I know Newcastle fans. I spoke to Newcastle fans and they loved him. Fans of his former club seem to have nothing good to say. He blames everyone else. Not very high energy. Maybe that's always the case with manager. How do they all? Does every fan think that? You know, it's very general. And again, it's, you know, it's just putting in, you know, it's just putting in doubt in your mind. I think you've got to judge him on what he does here. And don't forget, this really to Steve Bruce, managing in League One should be, you know, a lot easier, because I do believe that we've got a really good squad of players. And last night they were amazing. I mean, it was just too easy for Blackpool last night against Crewe. It was. And we even put kids on, and even our kids looked good against them, to be honest. We just looked like we could just step up a gear whenever we wanted. And CJ's second goal, well, I mean, he gave him a 2-yard start and just went past him like he was still. He was so quick. And that's the first time we've seen CJ do that, really, since Critcher's been back, because he just he wouldn't let him do that. He'd have him tracking back all the time, which is what I say. He's back defending. He's playing, you know, he's playing right back in it as well as playing right. You know, he's playing attacking wingman. We'll make him a winger, and that pace, you know, from the halfway line instead of from the, you know, from our goal area, he's electric. And he won't be as tired. You know, he won't all the running back and tracking back and up and down the pitch. You're going to see a better CJ Hamilton. I think so, anyway. Aston Jones says, Phil Taylor, buzzing with it, me, but what sealed it was Keogh and Dobbie brought all in together. Yeah, it did me as well. That did for me as well. Once I heard that, because I thought, oh, God, are they going to just get rid of Keogh? And, you know, but I think Keogh and Dobbie, if they do learn off Steve Bruce, will be formidable. You know, if they use this time, they could be, you know, the next two man, you know, they're like two joint coaches of Blackpool. The True Red says Steve Bruce slightly mixed opinions. This appointment could go one or two ways. Well, that's kind of, you know, the bleeding obvious. It could go one or two ways. Sheffield Wednesday, etc. But he's had enough time away from the game. Hopefully, he's learned from his mistakes. Yeah, I'm hoping so. In the way that Holloway, you know, took a couple of years out from football and came back and got Blackpool in the Premier League. He learned a lot while he had time to reflect on his way of playing football. Took a lot of football in, looked at a lot of things, and came up with his plan with Blackpool, and it worked. And you never know what Steve Bruce is going to be like this time. Ryan Dunbar says, Mick McCarthy too. Oh, for God's sake. Honestly. Only train twice a week and plays are off for weeks, and then when he goes on holiday. Ryan, it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter who it is, really. You're just going to be down about it. So you can't be like that. You just can't be like that. You can't be like that before it even starts. What's the point? I don't see any point in being like that before anything even starts. You don't know how he's going to be. You don't know how the situation is going to be. You don't know how much of the coaching he's going to do. You don't know how much of the coaching Keogh and Dobbie are going to do. You've no idea. So let it pan out. Let it play out the way it plays out. And don't get all down about it until we need to get down about it. And we've already seen, you know, that Simon Sadler will not put up with it in the end. You know, we all slag him off, but he doesn't put up with it, and he will fire them. You know, he will. You know, he doesn't seem scared of firing anybody. So if Steve Bruce is doing a Mick McCarthy, he'll pot him. You know what I mean? He will. There'll be things in place because he's had his fingers burned a few times, and he's learning. He's got to be learning. If he's not learning from his mistakes, I mean, he got rid of Critch a lot earlier than I thought he ever would do, because he talked about how much he loved him, didn't he? He loved him. He potted him because he was not happy. He was not happy with seeing 8,000 Blackpool fans in there, you know, on that first day. And he wasn't happy with 4,000 fans walking out. He's not daft. He's not daft. Stephen Roberts said the January transfer could be interested. I wonder what Simon Sadler's promised Steve for the next 2 years. Well, yeah, let's see. But that's another thing with Steve Bruce. He will have connections. He will be able to loan players from other managers, from better clubs. You know, we could do, couldn't we, at this moment in time, loaning another big centre-half while our centre-half is injured, you know, because we look better with that Baggett in to me. He looked real quality, and I was so disappointed that he's got injured. So we need a quality centre half coming in, and Steve Bruce will know because he's a defender. He'll know exactly what he needs. Yes, exactly. His name could bring players into the club. Of course, it could, Graham. The True Red says bringing Neil Critchley back was a mistake. It was never going to go down well with fans. How Critchley left for Aston Villa. Simon Sadler will now see that and learn from that mistake. Yeah. Clearly has, but there's that other side of the coin that he hasn't learned from Mick McCarthy because he's doing an old experienced head, and that does, you know, I'm the same as you. It does give me a little bit of PTSD thinking it could be as bad as Mick McCarthy, and I'm hoping he's not. He's a different manager to Mick McCarthy. He doesn't play the same football. He doesn't set up his teams the same way as Mick McCarthy. He's a different man to Mick McCarthy. So, you know, he's not going to be another Mick McCarthy. I just don't think he is, or anything like Mick McCarthy. Ryan Dunbar says, we'll see. We're all looking forward to having Alex Bruce as a centre-back in January. Maybe. Kieran Bain says, hi, Lee. Not badly. You never know what a manager can do when you give me a chance before judging too quickly. Yes. When you give him a chance before judging. Yeah, we mustn't judge him too quickly, and you've got to give him a bit of time. But he's walked into a team that he's actually playing quite well, isn't he? And I'm sure the players will respect Steve Bruce. You know, I'm sure they'll be quite excited and worried, but I think they'll be happy that Dobbie and Keogh are still there with him. Yeah, it's true. True Red says, from bottom of the league to the top, only one Steve is good at that. Well, yes, in the Championship, but this is League One, so it doesn't count. There can be another Steve in League One that can do the same thing. Highly, I wanted you as Critchley's permanent replacement, but I suppose I'll have to settle for Steve Bruce. From here in miserable Teesside. Don't be miserable, and I tell you, Steve Bruce will do a better job than me and than I could ever do. I only know how to be a fan, and that's it. And Dunbar said, just had a thought. Remember that Newcastle fan, Sharky? Remember his thoughts on Newcastle in under Steve Bruce? I can't remember. Did he? I can't remember. Did he love him? You know, we need to get Sharky on. If he's in the comments, he might, because he's already messaged me to say, but he didn't say whether it was bad or good. Peter Donnelly says, afternoon, Lee. I'm optimistic about this appointment. Ian Holloway had a year out of the game before coming here too, and look how that turned out. Like minds think alike, Peter, exactly. He's had a couple of years out, and it could just work out like Holloway, or it could work out like Mick McCarthy, because he'd also had a year out as well, hasn't he? So you can look, somebody will have that argument to say that. So Gary Cronshaw says, I like Steve Bruce Lee. All right, okay. Well, there you are. You see, not everybody doesn't like, not every fan from other clubs don't like him. Where has he been a great manager? Well, he's had success, hasn't he? He was successful at. You got to remember, Mr. Moley, that I only watched Blackpool, so I don't know much about him. I just know that I remember my dad saying, "Oh God, Steve Bruce has gone from wherever, and he was doing really well." Was he good at Aston Villa? He was doing okay at Newcastle when they put him in. But did he manage Birmingham? West Brom, he was good at one stage, wasn't he? I don't know whether all that fell apart. I don't know. You tell me in the comments, because I don't watch any other football really than Blackpool. Eugene McGeever, with his always with a positive spin to everything, says, I think Steve Bruce will get Blackpool to the playoffs this season. I think he'll get us up, promoted automatically. Eugene, I'm going to top you on that. I'm believing. Alan James Kilbride says, all down to whether Bruce can get the best out. All down to whether Bruce can get. All down to whether Bruce can get the best out of the squad. Here's hoping. Indeed, here's hoping. There we are, Mr. Molly. Mr. Taki Jasper says, Mr. Molly, I guess Hull, Wigan, and Birmingham, but none were unmitigated successes. Well, you know, all managers have ups and downs, and there's very few managers end up like Pep Guardiola or Alex Ferguson, don't they? There's only so many trophies you can win every year. There's only so many leagues there's only so many teams can go up. So to be an absolutely the best manager in the world, there's only a few. We could have got Klopp. If we'd have got Klopp, he might have done it. He might have done it for us. But Carl at Lompar. Hello, Carl. He says it may work, it may not. It may or it may not. You're absolutely right. We have a great backroom staff of coaches. Bloody hell, Lee, you've just said what I was thinking. I'm going to say the Bruce role could be the DOF role. Yeah, director of football role. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, well, it's kind of. I only speak the obvious. I try and speak common sense as much as I can. People don't think I do, but I do. Or some people don't think I do. Steve Bruce worries me. At least he played under Fergie. Yes, he did play under Fergie. It's a long time ago. He's been a successful manager, really, since. He's a massive name in football. He's a massive name in management, really. Steve Bruce, and who knows, this could reignite his career. And that's my only fear, that if it does reignite his fear, how long will he stay with us for? If he does well, if he got us back into the Championship, say, for instance, then he was like at the top of the Championship, I don't think you'd have a chance of keeping hold of him. Graham Dawson says, as a Yorkshire Seasider since 1970, I will give him my full support. Super Seasiders. Yes, I know, the Yorkshire Seasiders. You're all behind Mick McCarthy as well. You know, that's the way to be. You have to be that way. You have to, as a football fan, you just have to believe from the start. Okay, it might not work out, but you've got to believe it will, because if you start believing it won't from the get-go, then it won't. If we're all negative and we're all not cheering him on and we're all not cheering the team on and we're all booing because it's not Keogh or Dobbie or whatever, and we're all just miserable over it and we're as miserable as we kind of are at the moment, then it won't be a success, because it's down to us. I've said it a million times, Blackpool Football Club is about us, and that's why it upsets me that they don't look after us well enough. But anyway, that's a video for another day. Taki Jasper says, I'm a sucker for a big name manager, especially one that looks like an overgrown child who steals sweets. Yeah, he does look, he still has got that scary look, hasn't he? Which is, I'm hoping will referees will think twice about upsetting him. Because if you like Fergie, terrifying. Stephen Roberts is there. I think they played last night knowing Bruce was in. They attack confident. Let's hope it continues. Dobbie and Keogh will guide him in the BFC ways. I was talking to somebody. I can't remember who I was talking to last night, but they were saying, I don't know how they know what they were saying, apparently that, the dressing room is a lot happier since Critcher's gone. So, and you can see it, can't you? The players look a lot happier. I like Keogh, and I think he could have done a good job, if I'm being honest. But, there is always that fear. And it's not my money, that's the thing. I'm not pumping 5 million in a year. And when you are pumping 5 million a year, you've watched him play a few matches and you've watched him attack teams, but you've also watched how dodgy it was at the back. And you'd be thinking, does he really know what he's doing? Does he really know? Because he should have beat Wickham and he should have he should have won away. He shouldn't have at Cambridge. He should have won. He was 4-1 up. If you were Simon Sadler, you're thinking, he's just not experienced enough, because he should have won that game. And he should. It's to be 3-1 at half time, come out and go 4-1 up. Game over. It is getting in any, I said this to somebody, and I've not said it on here, but if it had been the other way around and Cambridge had been playing at Bloomfield Road and it had been 3-1 to Cambridge at half time and they'd have come out and made it 4-1, half of our fans would have left. They would have all walked out. 4-1, all going home, all getting on the coaches, all back on the buses, in the cars, and the stadium would be half full. Cambridge didn't all go. Cambridge fans didn't go. They were 4-1 down. They didn't go. They stuck by the team. And that's what I'm not liking about us at the moment. For me, that's not Blackpool fans, really. And I think we as fans need to take a look at ourselves as well. And that's a message to everybody out there. just take a look at yourself and stick with him to the end. You know, I have to be there, you know, for the YouTube channel. I've got to be there at the end to give my thoughts, and I stick it right to the death. I'm last one out of the ground half the time. But I would never leave early, never, because a game's never over till it's over. You know, I would always stick right to the end. You know, and I could never understand people who would leave early when we were winning like 2-1. It was on a knife edge, and they're leaving with 5 minutes to go to get to the car, whatever. And the game's on a knife edge. You know what I mean? I just couldn't. Our coaching team is now full of Steves, Bruce, Agnew, Dobbie, and Banks. Not bad, is it? Did anybody go to the? Did you all go to the? Did anybody go to Bristol Street Motors last night and like the look of this new keeper? I did like the look of him. He was massive. You know, just the kind of keeper I like. He just blotted his copybook by giving the ball away to give them that one goal. But you know, again, it didn't really matter to me. Steve Huntley says, I must admit, didn't see it till 4:30 this morning. Thought it was a wind-up at first. Well, yeah, when I must admit, I'd been told it was somebody else. You know, the rumours were going. Oh, in the stands, it was going round that it was a big rumour on Twitter that a name I'd never heard of had got the job, and he was the one, and they were all a bit excited about it. I'd never heard of him. I couldn't tell you what the name was, but it was all going around the stands at the time, and it did come a bit of a surprise to me when they said Steve Bruce. I was like, Steve Bruce, what? I think actually, you know, he was actually in the bookies thing. You could have had him. I think he was about 120 to 1, Steve Bruce. I think he was actually in there. I just saw him in there, and I thought, I kind of thought, Steve Bruce, that's not going to happen. Eugene McGee says there's going to be a Steve Bruce derby when Blackpool play Birmingham City this season. Indeed, there will. Daz is here. Hello, big dog walker. He says, great appointment with a strong boot room. Indeed, he's come to us for the love of the game and not the money. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. The mistake is we are comparing him to Dinosaur Mick. Yeah, of course we are. You can't. It's just the fact that we've got PTSD. That's from Mick McCarthy. From Mick McCarthy football. It was so boring. Oh my God Almighty! It was just, oh my God. But he's nothing. Exeter home is going to be rocking. I hope it is, and I hope we get behind him, and I hope he gets all that, you know, fans behind him like Holloway got. Because my God, we can lift teams. And have you read his football-based novels? No. So bad they're almost great. Oh, okay, well, maybe he's just not a good writer. Just one last payday, I think. Hope I'm wrong, says Simon Haig. I hope you're wrong too. I hope you're wrong, Simon. I hope it isn't. I hope we reinvigorate his career and he falls in love with us and stays and takes us all the way to the European Champions League final. That would be the dream. Just wondering what your ambitions are as a Blackpool fan. Premier League seems to, if you ain't a top 6 Premier League side, it's a point. I think every Blackpool fan would tell you we would like to get into the Premier League and get the money into the club that we should have rightly got with the Oystons, that would have set us up forever and made us a strong enough team in the Championship to keep going back in every now and again. And I think if you treat the champion, because for me, the Championship is the best league there is. I think it's better than the Premier League. I think it's the best league. And I think promotion from the Champions League into the Premier League is bigger as a town, because we all saw it as a town. It's bigger than actually winning the Premier League, because it's just like a ridiculous amount of money to a Championship club. It's just like mind-blowing. Whereas if you're in the Premier League and you're around about 8th all the time, or 7th, or 12th, and you finish 10th or whatever, and then if you actually won the Premier League, it wouldn't make, yes, historically it would, but financially you'd be a bit better off and everything else. You go into the Champions League, but that leap from the Championship into the Premier League, that promotion is like get the you know, the players out on a blooming tram going down the front, get 60,000, 100,000 on the promenade, cheering the team on. It's absolutely unbelievable. And for a club like Blackpool, it's just a miracle. And I've always said it, I would do exactly what the Oystons did. I wouldn't spend any money. I'd spend nothing. I'd spend as little as possible and take all the money I could and build like a war chest so I could really compete in the Championship and just keep getting back in it every now and again. And I wouldn't be all that bothered if I fell out. You know, it's not the end of the world if you fall out, because the Championship's good. But it would just be nice to, you know, to have a, you know, 3 or 4, maybe 5 seasons, build a war chest strong enough to be able to stay in the Premier League for a few seasons, and just really change. You know, the things you could change about the club if you had that money, other than the players, would be, you know, the stadium, the stand. You know, you could build extensions on. It could just. Anyway, that's kind of the thing. But yeah, to get back in the Premier League, I think is every Blackpool fan's ambition. Every one of us. We've been there before, so why not? And my youngest, Sebi, we took him to every, you know, he went to every game in the Premier League. He doesn't remember any of it. He was 8. He doesn't remember. He can't remember anything about it. He does not have one memory at all of it. He just can't remember. And I'd like him to get back in for him. Rob C says, I know a few fans from clubs he has coached us, and they all said the same. He gets an instant reaction out of his teams, so hopefully the same pattern follows and we can get some wins on the board. And he's never been at Blackpool before, and he's never had Keogh and Dobbie before, so who knows? It could be the dream management of all time. He could go down as the best manager in the history of Blackpool Football Club with the dream team behind him. Who knows? He could. And then again, he could be the worst appointment that we've ever made. He can't possibly be worse than Mick McCarthy. I don't think anybody can be worse than that appointment. It was a disaster. W and G, I mean, Mick McCarthy just actually potted himself, didn't he? Because he knew he was just killing us. W and G fan said, okay, let's test him out against Exeter as Huddersfield is postponed. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's an international thing. So, yeah, let's just see how he goes. Let's see how this works with Keogh and Dobbie, and let's just see what the football's like, and let's hope that it's great. Is he too old school? I don't know. We'll find out, won't we? He's got people around him. You know, he's going on about he wants to work with young managers and bring young managers along. So he's not thinking old, is he? He's thinking youth. He's thinking young. So I don't know. And he's never managed in League One before. He might find it a walk in the park, or he might find it an absolute bloody nightmare because he's never come up against teams who are going to just, you know, raise the game to play him because it's, you know, because it's Steve Bruce and Blackpool, isn't it? You know what I mean? We're going to be a big name walking into town now, whoever we play, aren't we? You know, we've suddenly gone from being like little Blackpool to one of the bigger clubs just purely because of that managerial appointment. It's massive. And Sky will be now following us with a media posse and everything else. They'll want to, you know, it's a great story, isn't it? So, yeah. Freddie Abraham says, I think it's a great appointment. That's what I want to hear. I think Bruce has something to prove after his last job. So do I. I think it is too, Freddie. I'm with you. Come on, let's get behind it. Steve Bruce, Tangerine Army. Look, guys, we finally got a big name in charge. Stop the negative shit. Yes, indeed. Stop the negative shit. And yes, if in 20 games' time we're bottom of the league with minus bloody goal difference and all the rest of it, then moan then, but not now. Let's get Bloomfield Road. Yeah, let's stop it being Bloomfield. Let's Bloomfield Road get rocking, sell out against Exeter. I'll be there will you? Well, I'll be there. You know I will. Can't wait for this. The True Red says it's not like a part-time non-league, etc. Who only trains 2 to 3 days a week. It's a full-time established football club, so it can't be like that. If he's managed a handful of games, then judge him. Yes, of course. And I don't think he's going to have them just training 2 days a week. And I don't think Keogh will let him. Rand Dunbar says the only thing that's making him feel positive is Dobbie and Keogh. Yeah, why not? Feel positive about that. It's got to be good, hasn't it? It can't not be good. We know that they're going to be part of the coaching staff, and we know how good they are. So everybody always goes on about the, the two bloody guys behind Critch. We hated him, didn't they? I mean, they've been slagged off more than Critch. So we haven't got them anymore. We've got Dobbie and Keogh. We love them both. Of course, it's a positive. He also got another thought. We brought a big name in. Has that been done as we're looking at selling the club? Hey, maybe look at it. Every cloud has a silver lining. The club's going to go because we've got Steve Bruce. Maybe the Americans all know Steve Bruce and that's what they want. Maybe the consortium is coming in. Who knows? Ryan Dunbar says, I may have been exited 5 minutes ago, but you know what? The more we talk about Steve Bruce, the more I'm gutted. We have a winter. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully he'll go. I don't like him. Steve Hunter says, at least he should shore up the defence. God, he's got to, hasn't he? Yeah. Willow is here. He's a decent appointment. Yeah, of course he is. He's Steve Bruce. You know, he's not Bruce Wayne, but he's Steve Bruce. We could have a song for a comedy. We were playing ELO on the radio. That Bruce thing. Maybe we could say that. Kevin Finn's on the negative already. Jesus, Kevin. Sorry, mate. Really can't see him doing any good. Well, he just might surprise you then. Let's hope he does. Ryan Dunbar says, I was pessimistic 5 minutes ago, but the more we talk about Steve, the more I'm good. We have an international break. I'm ready to go. And yeah, but no, that's pretty good. It's good. He's got that international break to work a few things out, hasn't he? And work with Keogh and Dobbie and put some, a plan together. It'd have all been a bit rushed otherwise. He has got a bit of time now to work a plan and maybe see where things are on and maybe just coach us in a better way. We've got the experience of Jordan Rhodes as well. And I thought Fletcher was brilliant last night, actually. He didn't score, but honestly, his first touch is incredible. It's incredible. He can stop a ball dead. Absolutely dead. A ball coming at him fast as well. He just stops it, turns, passes it around, sprays it about. The work he does, I don't actually I think he might be a better midfielder than a striker, to be honest. If they sat him back a bit deeper in a front three and they use him in that role rather than having the pressure of scoring goals, I think he's trouble. He's big, you know what I mean? He's a big lad. I liked him last night. And we looked, honestly, for the first time ever, we played Crewe last night and we looked massive. For the first time I actually looked at our team, I thought, bloody hell, apart from Dom Thompson, who had a good game, by the way, as well, but we looked a big side. We looked quite a big side. And Will says, if he's the only option, well, he probably wasn't the only option. But Simon Sadler is the owner and he's got to put the money in and he's got faith in him. So you've got to kind of believe that he's selling it to somebody. I've got to believe that Simon Sadler's doing the right thing here. Simon Egg says he hasn't strung 3 wins in years, but hopefully he uses connections to bring in players. I think he'll string 3 wins together here. We're playing good football at the moment. And when Mick McCarthy came in, we weren't playing good football. We were really playing bad football at that time, and he didn't really lift it. But Blackpool, I could see it last night. They're playing with a freedom that they've not had for a while. They're playing with a spring in their step. They're playing with a smile on the face. And it showed last night. It was honestly, anybody who didn't go last night, you really missed you did miss a fantastic night for a tenner. It was, oh God, it's one of the most enjoyable nights of football I've watched in ages. I was never worried, I just sat there. I was never panicking or worrying. I just thought if they score, we'll score about 3 more because we're just too good for these. And I felt like we were just too good. And I like that when you're watching a team that just is too good for the opposition all the time. It's a wonderful place to be. And I've only experienced it, a few times, as we all have, but it's wonderful when you just know your team can score and you've got the bet on the other side. And I hope it carries on in this way. Ian says, was Steve Bruce first choice? The bookies didn't seem to think so. Well, the bookies were wrong, weren't they? So the bookies are not often right, are they? There we are. He had 7 years with Birmingham. Yeah, he did stick with them. I'd like to know what Birmingham fans thought of him. I don't know. He guided Birmingham to promotion. Yes, he did. It'd be great if we had him for 7 years and he took us all the way back to the Premier League. George BFC is here. Hello, George. Highly, it could be a risky appointment, but we need to get. I would say that's what it absolutely isn't really a risky appointment, because it's Steve Bruce, and we all know he's a good manager. You can't say he's not a good manager, even if he hasn't had the best success everywhere he's been. He's had success, and he's had success at a higher level than what he's coming to now. In fact, I'm actually gobsmacked that he's made the drop down into League One. It's like, really, it's not his level, is it really? He's a higher manager than League One, and he won't want to stay in League One. He won't want to be managing League One. He'll be wanting to get back in the Championship pretty pronto. There's no way he'll be stuck at a club in League One. He has to kind of really prove himself if he wants to get, back after his couple of years out, and he wants to get back. He's only 63. You know what I mean? How old was Alex Ferguson when he packed in? He was in his 70s, I think. So he's not young, but he's got a lot of experience. And the one thing about Steve Bruce, he was a great defender. And he was a bloody world-class defender. So if he can't sort our defence out, nobody can. And we need him sorting out. Rooster Coburn. Hello, Rooster. He says, Bruce is a streaky manager, can go on runs of not losing in 20 games and not winning in 20. And don't worry, not too many clubs will be coming in for him if he's successful at Blackpool. That's great. That's great to know, Rooster. And I hope he does go on a 20-game winning streak. The perfect 20. That would change Blackpool history forever, wouldn't it? We've only ever done a perfect 10 in all our history of wins. Mr. Morley says, I get you might only watch Blackpool, but you made the statement that he's been a great manager. Well, I've heard of him. I haven't heard of any of the other ones that have been going on about Barry, whatever, and the guy from bloody Barrow. Well, no, I've heard of Ian Everett because he's played for us. I've heard of Richie Wellens because he's played with us, but I've never heard of any of them. But I have heard of Steve Bruce. So if I've heard of him, he's got to be good, because I've never heard of anybody. Just by definition, the fact that I have heard of him qualifies him as a good manager. Do you know what I mean? I've heard of Pep Guardiola, I've heard of Jurgen Klopp, I've heard of Alex Ferguson and Steve Bruce. That's about it. I don't know any of the others. So yeah, by definition, for me, he's a great manager. Yeah, he is. He's a big name. He's the biggest name manager we've ever had. He is. I'm sorry, but he is. We've never employed a Steve Bruce before. Even if he's older, it doesn't matter. We've never had anybody that famous in football. We've never had the bloody. I mean, how many trophies did he win as the captain of Manchester? Well, was he captain, or I think he might have even been captain of United at times, but he was immense for Man United. He's a megastar. Yeah, he's massive. He's a lot better known than Critchley, isn't he? Who knew him when he came in? We never heard of him. When they put in Neil Critchley the first time, had you ever heard of Neil Critchley? Ever? I've never heard of him. I bet lots of people, outside of our little circle of people have ever heard of Critchley either. They've never heard of him. They wouldn't know anybody following Manchester United or anything, but anybody following Manchester United will know who Steve bloody Bruce is. You never know. I might pick up some Man United fans following my channel because they like Steve Bruce. It might get me to 10,000 maybe, which I need to get to. So if you haven't subscribed, you're watching this, make sure you bloody well click that subscribe button. It's down there somewhere. There's a little thing saying Lee Charles and there's a GoFundMe there as well, which I'm still trying to raise all the money for the microphones I didn't get, but to keep doing this thing with the former players. And I hope you're enjoying that as well with the former players, because it's not been as easy to get them as you think. It's not like I just ring people up and they say, oh yeah, Lee. It's more difficult than I thought it was going to be, but hopefully we'll get almost everyone. I can't go to every match myself anyway. There's a few I have to leave at half time because I'm doing a disco, so I can't do it on them. But yeah, I think I'll fill the calendar up with them in the end. He took Hull to the Premier League. There we are. If you can take Hull to the Premier League, Hull City to the Premier League, Hull, then surely you can get Blackpool out of League One. Surely it can't be that hard. Phil Darlington says, possibly Bruce's biggest achievement for me is FA Cup runner-up in the 2013-14 season. Well, there you go. Keep them coming, lads. He's got a lot more blooming awards and a lot more. He's done a lot more things than Neil Critchley has ever done. Trust me, managing Liverpool's under 23. He's on a different bloody planet to Mick McCarthy. Even he's a massive name. Come on, what's up with you guys? Bloody hell! Yes, it has been checkered, but there's not many managers like blooming Alex Ferguson, is there? Steve Bruce's managerial career has been checkered to, let's say, the least. Yes, it has. So you never know what you're going to get, do you? He's had success. He's not had success. This might be his biggest success ever. He's had 2 years out to think about where he's gone wrong and the moves he's made and the daft things he's done when he was doing well, moving to another club for more money. He's maybe had all the time to think about it. And yeah, he's going to put it all right with little old Blackpool. We're not little old Blackpool anymore because we've got Steve Bruce. I tell you, Sky will not be taking the piss out of us like they do all the time, the condescending twats that they are. And they are. I hate watching Sky commentaries because they're so condescending. They do my head in. Jane can't even listen to her. You know, she just almost has to turn it off. She gets so upset about them. And she doesn't like Sky anyway because she went on a thing with Sky. She was on as a fan when we were going for promotion from the championship, and I think it was which one was it? Well, I think it was when we were playing Sunderland, and she said to this guy, it was an interview. She had to go on like a talk thing, and she said that because they were all talking about Sunderland, you know, with it going up, and she said that you know, they asked her how do you think Blackpool go on, and she said, well, Blackpool are going to win the playoffs, and they all started laughing. They actually laughed. She laughed out loud when she said it, and she's never forgiven him. She's never been on another Radio Lancashire or Sky thing since because she was so upset about the fact they laughed at her when she said we were going to win the playoffs, and we did. Proved her right. She was right. So she don't like him. Phil Taylor says he got Aston Villa to the Championship playoffs. Yeah, I mean, more reality in Ryan Dunbar drawing a likeness to Mick McCarthy, in my opinion, but it's all about opinions. Of course it is. And we can all have these opinions, to be honest. There will be people in fear of him because I don't think we'd have been in as much fear as if we hadn't gone through the Mick McCarthy experience. If we hadn't gone through that as fans, I think we'd have welcomed this news more. But I do think that the vast majority of fans, seeing that they're going to be keeping Dobbie and Keogh in as, you know, bringing them into the first team coaching, I think that will be, for most Blackpool fans, a really, really good thing. A really good thing. Because and it is for me, because I didn't want to lose Keogh after all he's done. I was thinking, I'm really starting to fall in love with Keogh. You know, I am really. I mean, they were singing his name last night. You know, really were. And I like his interviews, and I like his. You know, I liked. We all liked him anyway, didn't we? You know, we've loved him, whereas other clubs have been, you know, and other fans have been really hostile towards him. But you know, he's found a family here that actually love him. You know. Yeah, I'm glad he's being brought into the first team coaching, and I like Stephen Dobbie. I think Stephen Dobbie was one of the best players I've ever seen. He was amazing, man. He was incredible. He could hit a ball from anywhere. I mean, he was a great goal scorer. You know, and you know, I don't forget the playoff win against Forest. At Forest, with Dobbie coming on, he changed the game. He was unbelievable. So I'm glad also, and I like the way we played under Dobbie at the end. You know. Even though we went down, I was liking the way he turned it around. We should have won, really, at Luton. You know, it was just dead unlucky that they got that, you know, that free kick right on half time, and we fell asleep, and that changed it. But we shouldn't have lost that game, and we'd have stayed up if we hadn't. Phil Taylor says Google is great. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that was too. Ian says, well, both are centre halves, Mick and Steve. Yeah, they are, but I just think Steve's is a better quality than Mick McCarthy. I think he is. His record speaks for itself. We're already seeing he's got teams promoted, Hull promoted. I mean, anybody can get Hull City promoted into the Premier League. It's got to be good. Eugene McGeever says, Steve Bruce has links with Man United, and I think Steve Bruce will get some Man United players in the January transfer window. They might be able to get a bloody big centre half on loan because we need one, don't we? With Baggett getting injured, we're so lacking in that big commanding. You know, remember when we signed Ian Evatt? I remember when we signed Ian Evatt and he came on the first game, and my dad just went, "Ooh, bloody hell! Look at the size of this guy." You know, my dad was like, "Wow, we haven't seen one of these at Blackpool before," and he was immense, Ian Evatt, wasn't he? Willow says Southgate is out of a job, should go for a Championship or League One club. Not saying he will fit at Blackpool. I'm saying he seems like a fit to similar clubs. Well, we wouldn't have wanted Southgate because he plays like Critch, and that would have been an absolute bloody disaster. After suffering all through watching Blackpool football, England play the Blackpool way, which was the way Critch was playing, it would have gone down like a lead balloon. It's terrible. The Cole the Seasider says, Bruce is always good for a promotion. Looks like we're going to give Dobbie or Keogh a go after Bruce, with them sticking as first team coaches. I think so too. I think that's in the plans. And whether he stays here for 7 years or he stays here for 2 years, let's hope he does something good at Blackpool and gets us back in my favourite league, the Championship. RWA Productions says, Sunderland fan again. I tell you something good. Look, that's all I've got to say. He is absolutely terrible. Right, okay. Well, there's a different mindset, a different pressure, a different everything at Blackpool than there is at Sunderland. So, you know, I don't know. We don't expect as much as Sunderland fans do. It's a little bit more. It is a little bit more. You know, it is a family club, even though they're trying to turn it into some sort of corporate monster. We are just a little family club, really, and that's the only thing that really annoys me about them all, because we're not a corporate thing. We're a family club, and they don't seem to get the family thing enough for me. And I don't know why they don't, because, you know, Simon Sadler's a Blackpool lad, a Blackpool fan. He knows we're a family club. Well, it says the international break is useless. It's qualifiers, or like World Cup 22. Yeah. Pete Wild was favourite. Yeah, but I know. Man, who's heard of Pete Wild? I never heard of him, honestly. I know I had to look him up. I had to Google him. Yeah, Google is great, but no idea who he is. You know, it was just Blackpool signing another possible maybe guy who's. Would he have done any good? I don't know. Will he ever achieve anything in life? He'd have to do bloody well to achieve the things that Steve Bruce has achieved so far in his career, in his football career and his managerial career. We will see it in 4 years' time, Willow. 4 years' time. Mark my words. We'll be back in the Premier League in 4 years. Yes. And then obviously Europe and Real Madrid. Absolutely. True wrestler Steve Bruce will certainly tighten the screws on that defence, with himself being an ex-centre half, and build up leading to the strikers. Yeah. Lawrence Edwardson says, hi, Lee. Hope you're okay. What do you think? I'm doing a live stream. I'm smiling. I'm okay. Thank you very much. I'm all right. That's the last 2 streams you mentioned the Oystons. I'm getting worried about you, mate. No, there's things that the Oystons did that were really good. I hated them. I mean, I bloody hated them. You know, with every fibre of my body. But there was things that I liked about them, and that was really the one thing that I really liked about them, was that they went to the Premier League and came back with all the 95 million quid. I like that. What I bloody hated was the fact that they stole it, or, you know, they misappropriated it, or whatever it was. You know, they never put any of it back in. So I hated them even more, because they did what I thought they were going to do. I thought they're going to build a bloody legacy forever, keep going back in the Premier League. They didn't do it. And they brought Bellicon in. I've said it a million times. I think that's what Simon Sadler should do. You know, but apart from that, I hated him. You know, calling his pre-lets and all the rest of it. No, hated the Oystons. They just kept us in the doldrums for years and years, but they did do a few things right. And I've lived through it. It's my life. I have lived through this. You know, I have lived through it all, man. I know it from top to bottom, to, you know, to buying Andy Watson, you know, superstar. I know it all. Fans buying him. I've done it all. I've lived the life, and everything that I haven't lived, I've lived my dad's life of it as well, because he used to tell me all the stories. So I know it all. I know the full, absolute everything about Blackpool Football Club. I'm like a walking encyclopedia on the hell of watching Blackpool Football Club, but that's for another story. And yeah, and Oyston's a part of that. And the fact they got fucking smashed and they lost 30 odd million pounds. It's the happiest day ever. I was cheering on the foul. The cheer on the foul coast was unbelievable. You know, the day we came back and we sang that bloody song, we got the Oystons out. We sing about them all the freaking time. We hated them. Don't worry about me. Being a Premier League yo-yo club is a great business model. Yeah, it bloody is. Absolutely is. A boing boing club would, you know, it's like that guy that went on and Britain's Got Talent. He said, all I want to be is a one-hit wonder with his keys, wallet and phone thing. That was his dream. I just want to be a one-hit wonder. Yeah, I want to be a Premier League yo-yo freaking club. I don't care about coming back down out the Premier League. I just want to get to a point where we can get in it again, you know, because it was so good for the town, man. It's so good for the town. And we can bet, you know, Blackpool can benefit just because of all the beds we have. And the rooms we can put people in to come to Blackpool if they want to watch their team play Blackpool. We can make more money out of people than anybody else, and we can shove them all on. You know, they can all go and watch the show. They can all go to the Pleasure Beach on a Sunday, and they can take their families. And, you know, it's just, for Blackpool, it's immense. Burnley will not get the lift of being in the Premier League that Blackpool will, because they haven't got the bed space. They haven't got the hotels. You know, people will just come and go, you know, and maybe even come and then stay in Blackpool when they're playing Burnley. But Burnley won't. The town of Burnley will make very little from Premier League football. But Blackpool would make billions from Premier League football. From that free advertising that we got, we're on the TV all the time. It's worth billions. It's worth so much money. Money can't buy it. Alexander McIntosh says, hopefully good appointment, was a good player. Willow, I know you wanted to keep piping in with things that are just totally irrelevant to this thread, but if you don't want to talk about Blackpool and Steve Bruce, I can't keep reading your stuff out, because I'm trying to, we're talking about Steve Bruce. So read the room, Willow. All right, okay. Alex McIntosh says, let's start kicking some arse now. Let's hope so. Yes, of course they will. Yes, of course they will. They'll be calling it Steve Bruce's Blackpool. Yes, they will, but they'll be talking about it a little less condescendingly than they have been talking about us, because they do that. They do belittle us, and it just pisses me right off. Alex McIntosh says that Blackpool should be in the Championship. Yes, it's where we should be. I don't. These people that say that League One is our level. No, it's not. It's not our level. Championship is our level. We just, you know, we just fucked it up basically, didn't we? Well, Critch did really, just by leaving. Joey says those whingy will be whinging whoever we appointed. Of course they would. Of course they would. I agree with you. Don't be whinging. It's not that, you know, Blackpool fans shouldn't be whinging. We just should not be whinging. Outrageously experienced manager, we're going up. Yeah. I mean, we can whinge if we're bottom of the league at Christmas and he hasn't done anything. Start whinging then. But at the moment, don't whinge. Get behind him, because I've said it earlier on the stream, if Blackpool fans are behind the manager and they're coming in numbers and they're making lots of noise and the football's great, we can go anywhere. We have the best fans. There is no better fans, pound for pound, in the land. I've said it before. I went to every single Championship game with Critch, every single game, and there wasn't one stadium that made half the noise that Blackpool fans were making. Not one of them. Sheffield United was like a morgue. Coventry was quite good, and they are quite good, but they don't sing the whole game. They don't sing a song for a corner and all that sort of stuff like we do. No, they have a singing section and they do make quite a lot of noise, but they don't sing all the way through. Forest is absolutely deafening when they're singing City of Mine, and when they score a goal, and when they roar in the team on it, a big roar. It's loud, but do they sing? No. Sunderland, it was like a bloody morgue, unless they were shouting at the referee or roaring the team on. They didn't sing. Not like Blackpool fans sing. Blackpool fans sing at home like away fans sometimes sing when they come away. You know what I mean? When away fans can be quite noisy, but Blackpool are like that at home. It's not like that. It's not like that anywhere. Not like Blackpool. It's not. Alexander McIntosh says, Bruce to take us into the Championship. Finley McCalman says, I'm delighted Steve Bruce has been appointed. So much experience to share with the young coaches and team. Brilliant. Like the comment. Like your enthusiasm. That's what I'm thinking too. Terry Gibson says, Sir Steve Bruce and his supermassive Blackpool. Take that. Alexander McIntosh, glad that Critcher's gone, aren't we all? Aren't we all? Ryan Dunbar said Fletcher, and you've written him off, Ryan. You've written him off. The worst forward you'd ever seen in what, I don't know how many years did you say about him? Can't write people off. Let him get acclimatized. Even if he isn't a striker, he is a really good at what he is. I mean, some of those balls he trapped in midfield last night, coming at him at speed, he just brought him down like on a sixpence, was amazing. And then he just spread the ball around. He is trouble, and they can't get the ball off him. He's another one of those that when he, back to the ball, gets the ball, they can't get it off him. He's a strong lad. I like him. I think he'll be a real asset, but maybe not as a striker, maybe as that sitting back a bit, sort of, off the front too. Mark Stiles says, great appointment. The knowledge you can pass on to Keogh and Dobbie is priceless indeed. 1,000 games in management and he hasn't been in League Two will definitely shore up our league defence. Indeed. Freddie Abrams here. All the negative naggers go support bloody Preston. Get behind Bruce. Indeed. Let's get behind him. Please get behind him. Let's not have another scenario where we're divided. Blackpool fans can't be divided. We've got to be together. And if we're together, we can move mountains. Ian says, Steve Bruce will be going to lots of his ex-clubs, Birmingham City, Wigan Athletic, Huddersfield Town. Yes, it's going to be. And you know what happens when bloody previous managers come back to play us? They only beat us, don't they? So let's hope he can beat them in the same way that we get beat when a bloody previous manager comes back and plays us, or a previous player comes back and scores against us or whatever. I mean, it was better than Fleetwood versus Aston Villa under 21. Yeah, was that last night? Yeah, no, it was great. Honestly, I really enjoyed it last night. It was just a good game of football. And Mick McCarthy has a squad that, let's face it, wasn't good enough for Championship. Bruce is inheriting a good squad for this level. Yeah, he is. And Mick McCarthy came in at a time where the fans were down. Everything was looking down. We were getting to the relegation zone. It was all looking grim at Christmas, wasn't it? And Steve Bruce is coming in right early on. He's already seen. He said in his interview that he likes what he's seen. At least he has no allegiance to Blackpool. Comes with a clean slate. Indeed, he does. That's good. Ryan Dunbar's only issue with last night was the bloody Sky commentator had us winning the trophy last season. Twice he said that. Did he say that? Well, they don't. That's it. They'll have to start doing the research. Well, they can't come on with stupid facts about Blackpool because they don't know anything about us. Now they'll have to know a bit more because it's Steve Bruce. They'll have to give us a bit of respect. Rob C says Blackpool has scored the most goals this season in all competitions in the whole EFL. We will ignore the fact that we have played more games than most. Incredible. But it's incredible for how bad the first 10 games were. Yeah, Keogh did have a scoring, but we were leaky in defence. And he said Carey was at Forest Green Rovers last year. Oh, yeah. Oh, Casey. Casey, was it? Yeah. Is that what he said? Alex McIntosh says Bruce will bring Blackpool back up. Mr. Molly says world-class defender. Well, anybody who plays for Manchester United for as long as he did is by definition, in the time he was playing at them and probably the medals he won with Manchester United, yeah, I would put him in world-class. I would. Because at that time, Manchester United were the best team in England for sure, and best team really in Europe at times, weren't they? I've heard of Ryan Lowe, but I wouldn't put him in as a good manager. No, I've heard of him because he was with the Nobbers. I mean, obviously, I don't know as much about the Nobbers as I know about Blackpool, but they're my rivals, aren't they? So, of course, I'd know him, but I wouldn't say he was a great manager. That's for sure. What's he done? He's had 4 promotions from the Championship. Is that right? Right. Well, that's good enough for me. Phil Colbert's here. Hello, Phil. Until it's proved to be a disaster, then why worry about it? I hope it works out for him. And us, yeah, exactly. You're with it, Phil. That's it. The Yorkshire deciders know what they're talking about. Indeed. Until it becomes a disaster, it's not a disaster. Yeah, exactly. Probably the biggest name since Joe Smith or Major Frank Buckley. Bloody hell, I can't remember Major Frank Buckley, but Joe Smith, obviously, you know, from the 1953 Cup final and stuff. My dad would talk about him lots of times. Yes, Stephen said, I read that Agnew is Rhodes' uncle. I do believe so. I do believe he is. Yeah, I'll miss his interviews as well. They were great. I agree with you. I will miss that. Oh yeah, for checking Bruce's record, Google's good. Reese says, Lee, if it was a few months later, Tony Mowbray would have been a good appointment. Again, he's another one that some say he's not. Oh yeah. I'm with that. There's connections. Let's get Harry Maguire. But everybody bloody complaining about it. What if we got Harry Maguire? Blackpool fans wouldn't be happy, for Christ's sake. Pete Wilde hasn't done anything. Of course he hasn't. Harry says there's a problem upstairs. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Problem lies upstairs. Well, yes, kind of. Yes, it does. It does lie upstairs sometimes. But let's hope it's something positive. You know. Blimey, championship hours on level. How many seasons? Well, exactly. Because we were just, you know, my dad would always say we were a sleeping dinosaur, and we just had the Oystons. Unfortunately, kept us down in the lower leagues for 30 years because they didn't invest anything. So yeah, but for me, our level is the championship. Sorry, Mr. Moley, I'm more positive than you. I think he will definitely make our defence better. So do I. Kyle Matheson says, I think we all as fans, we need to back Bruce. He's been to many clubs, big and small. Most teams under his management have done good. Well, there we are. That confirms it. Mr. Moley doesn't seem to believe you that he's done good, but I think he's been a good manager at places. True Red says, Lee, I fully back you on that. Burnley is so boring. I've left in Burnley all my life, or they'll never have that attraction. No, of course not. They can't monetize the Premier League like Blackpool can monetize anything, because we have all those hotel rooms, we have all the entertainment when people come, everything, you know, is buzzing. When we were in the Premier League, you couldn't get in pubs anywhere because they were all live streaming it. It was unbelievable. You know, it was unbelievable, the people coming to Blackpool, you know, to watch their team. Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans, United fans, you know what I mean? Just amazing. And we can capitalize on all that. Stephen Roberts says, when a balloon field is loud, you can hear it miles away. That's how it needs to be again. It does indeed. Yes, I am right about the singing. There's nobody sings like us. Nobody has a song for a corner like us. Mr. Molly says, I believe the answer to the question is 14 out of 50 seasons, meaning 36 below our level. Absolutely. No, I call them Oyston years, Mr. Molly. The Oyston years, the wilderness years, the years where we were kept down by never ever bloody buying anybody or getting, you know, just the whole thing running a bloody shoestring. It was horrific. The ground like a bloody shit pit, wasn't it, really? God. I remember picking up an old lady in the taxi. She was about 90, and she was telling me that when she was about 16 or something, she went to watch Blackpool with her mum, and she was in the South Stand, and she went to the bloody to the loo in the South Stand, and there was the thing had broke, and it was like a coat hanger wire or something, and that wire was still there, and she was 90 years old. It'd been there for about bloody 70 years or something. We'd had that bumming bit of wire doing the ladies' toilets. That's how it was. It was terrible. John Gribben said he must have good contacts, and he was taught as a player by the best manager ever. Sure he was. I'll tell you what, before I go, if you haven't seen it yet on Twitter, let me see if I can share my screen with you. Just give me a minute, because this is something new. So if I can share my screen, I can show you his interview on Twitter. Right, I'm just going to go to it now. So hopefully this works and you can hear it. Post if there's no sound, because I'm not sure if it'll work or not, because I've never shared a screen before. So here we go. Right. This is Steve Bruce on Twitter. Is it?
It's nearly a couple of years, which has been forced upon by myself. It's particularly, I thought it was time to take a break. Itching to go, and let's see what we can do.
As you say, you've been out of management for a couple of years. What made this move to Blackpool the right one at this stage?
Well, I first met the owner some week ago, if that was right, and I know David Downs from my time at Aston Villa, and after speaking to them and sharing the ambition of what they want to do and the project they put towards me, then that challenge was too good to turn down. So I'm delighted to be here.
And having spoken to them, how much does that challenge enthuse you looking forward as well?
Yeah, going forward, look, I've missed football. Quite simply, I've been in it all my life. I've enjoyed it immensely and missed it over the last, well, 12 months in particular. So getting ready to get started again.
You've obviously got over 1,000 games in club management. What do you put that longevity in the game down to?
Just, I think, me a sheer enjoyment of the game of football. And how lucky have I been to play nearly 1,000 games as a footballer and then do nearly 1,000 games as a manager. Is if somebody had taught me that when I was 16, 17, growing up, then I think I would have snatched their hands off.
I know you've watched a couple of games over the past week or so. How excited are you by what you've seen on the pitch?
I am, well, that's more important than what's happening on the pitch. And I said, the couple of games I've watched, the win at Blackburn, a little bits of the 4 each draw, they could have quite easily won the whole 3 games. So a little bit of fine tuning along the way, and looking forward to getting back to work and getting back on the training ground and working with the players, and hopefully helping them to improve.
Of course, you bring your assistant Steve Agnew with you as well. What qualities can he bring?
Well, Steve is a very, very good coach who's been with me a few times now. You know, Keogh and Dobbie's going to join the backroom staff, and so is Richard Keogh. So they are the young ones that I'm looking forward to. And Steve will be an unbelievable help on the training ground with them. And hopefully they can learn a little bit from myself and Steve. So it sounds like a very, very good team, which is vitally important.
And you've touched on Mitch Keogh and Keogh and Dobbie joining the staff. How good is it and important is it to have those people within the building?
Well, I think with not just people in the building, but they're young, enthusiastic in management. I've always wanted to give young ones a start and a help. It's the start of their careers, really, in the coaching end of it. They've been big players for this club, and they're both well respected. And I'm sure they'll do a grand job for us.
Of course, you've got 10 days or so until your first league game against Exeter. How important will that be to drill your ideas into the squad?
Well, it's going to be very important. I've seen on the thing that they've given them a weekend off, so I'm not going to disturb them, the other staff. So, yeah, look to get up and started. Looking forward to it immensely.
And finally, what's your message to the supporters who travel, obviously, home and away, and have got a reputation for being so loud?
Well, look, I've come here to try and take them where they want to get back to, and I'll appreciate their support. They're a very, very loyal fan base. We're blessed with that, so looking forward to them to get behind the team like they always have done, and hopefully give them something to shout about, which every supporter wants, and that's got to be the aim.
Welcome to the club. Wish you all the best.
Thanks ever so much.
There we go. Yeah, you know, he seems to be saying all the right things. I am feeling positive about it, and I am especially. I'm just going to close on this because I've got to get off. I've got to start getting ready to go to work. So yeah, I'm positive about it. I think keeping Keogh and Dobbie or moving them up into the first team coaches is going to be a big difference to Mick McCarthy. I think he's experienced enough to bring them on, but also listen to them and get it very quickly, understand very quickly what Blackpool fans want and how they see the team and how they, know the players already and know what we're capable of. I think I get a lot of feedback from Dobbie and Keogh, and we both love that. We love both of those, don't we? We love both Dobbie and Keogh. We've wanted Dobbie as manager, we've wanted Keogh as a manager. I think it's going to be okay. I honestly, I do. I could be eating my words at Christmas, but I just get a really good feeling that this is good. I think it's good. Yeah, well, I know Fletcher, but I keep talking about Fletcher, and I think Fletcher's probably would be better sitting off the front too. His distribution and ball control, and it's second to none, and he's hard to get off the ball. I like him. He has no confidence in front of. Well, I get you, Harry. We can be negative about everything, and you can be negative, but I'm not going to be negative at the start. I will be negative if it's shit by Christmas and we're bottom of the league. I'll be negative then, but until then, I'm not being negative about it. I can only see good things about it, and I'm not going to join you in your negativity. Steve Huntley says, let's just hope he gets us back to the Premier League before someone poaches him. Well, that is the thing, in it, because somebody will. Steve Harrison says, thanks for that. I'm not an X. Yeah, so there you are. You've all got to see. I was going to play it earlier on, but I forgot. Kieran Bain says, please like and sub. Yeah, please do give the video a like, because YouTube will share it out more then to people who like this kind of content. And yeah, do subscribe. I'm trying to get to 8,000 would be. I've been so long stuck in 7,000. I don't think I'll ever get to 8. But if I get to 8,000 subscribers, that would be the dream by Christmas if I could do it. And 10,000 is my like ultimate. If I got to 10,000, I think I'd probably retire from it all, because that's what has always been my goal. I want to do a better video of my celebration of getting 1,000 subscribers. So if I could get 10, that would be amazing. Yeah, of course, we're all entitled to our own opinions, and I know that I know that some people will look at everything negatively, but as a Blackpool fan, I've got to believe, man. If I don't believe there's fairies in the bottom of the garden, and I don't believe we're going to win, and I don't believe we're going to get promoted every season, if I can't believe that, I might as well not even bother following it. And they do destroy me, and they do upset me, and I do get down, and I do get miserable, and I do. But every year it starts off, and I just start with the hope I had as a child, and I'll never stop believing. I never will. It's in my blood. I'm Blackpool, like a stick of rock right the way through, and I'll always believe that we can do it. Until obviously reality hits me in the face, and I have to accept we're not. But for now, I'm excited, and I do like the fact that it's a bit of a dream team, and I like that. I like Keogh, I like Dobbie. I've got nothing against Steve Bruce, at all. There's nothing in it that I went, oh God, Steve Bruce. It just wasn't that with me. I was like, I was literally like, Steve Bruce, you're having a bloody joke, Steve Bruce. I couldn't believe it. So that's how I was. Or 4-3-3, 4-2-2, 4-4-2, or 4. I think we need 4 at the back. Yeah, John Gribben says, yeah, an attacking midfielder, he would be absolutely great because he's big and strong. He is great on the ball. He has got great passing and range, and he never put a stray pass, I don't think, last night. And I've said before, he just picked some balls, that were really hard. And he just stopped him on a sixpence, you know what I mean? And I'm always impressed when they don't bounce off him somewhere. And yeah, he's got good ball control. So anyway, this is a positive video. If you're just joining now, you can go back and watch it all the way through because it's positive. I'm full of positivity for this. And behind this, I think this is a good thing. And I hope and I pray it is a good thing. And I hope Bluefield Road can get back to being what I love, which is noisy and loud and just like the best ground, pound for pound, in the world. We only have like 14,000 as the most Blackpool fans, and we make a noise sometimes that's the 30,000 crowd couldn't make. So we're really good, and I hope we get back to that. Anyway, I hope we do. I hope you've enjoyed this stream, and I will see you guys in the next one. I'm going to go and get my tea, and I'm off to work. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you later.